All right, so this is the end of the speech that the Rebbe gave in 1991 in Tazria Metzora, and he explained very exactly all these different facets and ways to look at Mashiach and how to bring Mashiach, and especially said by learning Torah. That was one of the main ways doing it, and also by fixing up ourselves, but thinking about Mashiach and trying to do everything we can to facilitate the arrival of the Mashiach. And one of the things about Mashiach is that he's going to be a king, and he's going to tell us to do things which we never even thought that was possible to do, and also be a teacher, a Rav, and he'll teach us how to do these. So it'll be part of us. We'll internalize it. So we'll not just be doing things that we can't comprehend, but we'll also be comprehending things that we thought we couldn't comprehend and understand. But mainly the idea is to understand how good and beautiful the world is, and how good and beautiful God is, and how good and beautiful the Torah is, and how good and beautiful life is. And that's the whole idea of, we said, that we talked about Sfirat Omer. Remember, we talked about counting the Omer, and that the Jewish people have a commandment that every day they count for 49 days, they count one of the aspects of godliness, which is found inside of us. And there's 49 aspects. We said there's seven, what's called emotional qualities, and each one of them contains seven. So the Rebbe got up to where they were back then. Now, this speech that the Rebbe gave in 1991, it came in the time of the year, not like came after the Passover, when they were in the middle of this commandment, 49-day commandment between Passover and Shavuot, when they received the Torah, Jews celebrating the reception of the Torah. Okay, so I said, that's what's called a Derech Yashar. And if you remember, the Rebbe referred to a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. He said, what is the Derech Yashar? What is the straight, easy way that a person should choose? He said, and that related to the day that the Rebbe was there, which was Malchut, the lowest aspect of Tiferet, which Tiferet was beauty. So putting all these things together, what the Rebbe basically is saying is that the completion and the perfection of the world is much closer than we think, and it depends on us to facilitate it and how we're going to do that. So it says there, here's the straight way to do it. Derech Yashara is by means of Malchut, kingship of Tiferet. And we say that Tiferet means revealing something so real and so good that it unites all opposites. Okay? אני שמתי בחוץ על תנור, עם הכובע שלו. על פלטה, כן. Okay, let's talk about Nogea Lapoel. Let's actually do this thing. Let's proceed first of all. What should we do? Shekivan, since the Mashiach Tzidkenu, Omed Labo, since the Mashiach is supposed to come immediately. Right, and the Rebbe, of course, is saying this. This is already 33 years ago. The Rebbe said this, and Jews have been saying it for 2,000 years before that. But the Jewish people are a stiff-necked people. Well, it says that here's the straight way. Because the Mashiach is supposed to come any moment, it's Omed Lavo, take it from me immediately. Of Ladayan, but still, Lo Bobapol. Mashiach has actually not come, actually. And what this means is, I mean, the Rebbe said, for instance, that the previous Rebbe was the Mashiach. And he said that all the Rebbes of Chabad were Mashiach. So what does it mean he didn't come actually? It means he didn't do the things Mashiach is supposed to do. One of the things Mashiach is supposed to do is to bring Mashiach. In other words, he's supposed to bring all the Jews back to Jewish consciousness. So you can know who the Mashiach is, but it doesn't mean that this person is going to stand up and lift up his wand and all of a sudden miraculously just all the Jews are going to go like zombies and start putting on tefillin and going to the land of Israel. No, everyone's going to make their own decisions on their own. So Mashiach has come, but he hasn't come b'poel. He hasn't done what he's supposed to be doing, to bring the third temple and bring all the Jews back to Israel. And therefore, Derusha Yishtadlus, we have to have a special effort, the last efforts the end of the garments, like it said that's what this thing of sorat was, at the end of the garments, right on the surface of the skin of each and every Jew. Lahaviyat Mashiach, you have to do what you can to actually bring Mashiach. Therefore, how do you do that? Suricha, there has to be liot apula. You have to do something, not by means of lo al yedei malchut b'torata. You have to do something. Not that the Mashiach is going to do it, in Yanishal Mashiach himself, but al yedei malchut should be tiferet. It has to be the kingship which is in tiferet. Tiferet means balance, beauty. What does that mean? Kolomar. In Yanishal Mashiach, the whole idea of the Mashiach, that's the idea of Malchut, which Malchut means kingship, and it also means to be revealed in the lowest aspect of the world, Kafishu b'Torah, like it is in the Torah, Tiferet. So we said before that Tiferet, beauty, that's referring to the Torah, because the Torah comes from something higher than the world, comes from an aspect of God higher than the world. It's the directions, the blueprint of the world. So there's the kingship, the Malchut of Tiferet means we have to bring Mashiach through the Torah. Like we said before, Torah, that by means of the Torah, that's the whole idea of the Mashiach, of that he's a teacher, it said, is Nimshachim, is drawn down, and Midgalim is revealed, Ha'orot Elyonim, the highest lights and the highest awareness that's drawn down into the world of God for the redemption. That's the idea of Mashiach, that he's a king. But often Panimi in an inner way. Like we said before, the Mashiach is a king, which means he's totally unlike anybody else in the world. He's a king. He's a king over mankind. The king always knows what's right. And the king also commands the people to do things that are right, even if it's against what people understand. It's right. But then that's one aspect of the Mashiach. But the other aspect of the Mashiach is they'll bring this down into our understanding, so that we'll understand logically in our own minds what's right. Well, Pashut, simply Tiferet, this is the idea of learning Torah, and Malchut of Tiferet, this is learning Torah about Mashiach, Ube'inyani Geula, and matters of the redemption that were explained in a lot of places. So it could be that one of the most misunderstood ideas in the world is what Mashiach is. A lot of these other religions, they have this idea, especially the ones that claim to replace Judaism. Mashiach is a basic idea that someone's going to come and he's going to fix up the whole world, that everybody's going to believe like them. They're going to believe like them. And Judaism, all of this around this originates from Judaism. They're the ones that had this idea. And that there's going to come a person just like Moses. Moses was the example. And he's going to unite all the Jewish people to believe in the Creator and do what it says in the Torah. That's what the whole thing of Moses taking the Jews out of Egypt to receive the Torah. So that's what's going to be, that's the Malchut, that's the kingship of Tiferet. On one hand, Mashiach is going to be a king, and he's going to command everybody to be good, to do good, to speak good. But on the other hand, he's going to be a Rav, and he's going to explain it. That's the whole idea of the Torah. He'll show where it says in the Torah what you're supposed to do. Which, by the way, that's one of the reasons why the Talmud is so valuable in Judaism, is because there's all these arguments in the Talmud, and a lot of the arguments are arguments that people use nowadays to do whatever they want. So we see that these people, it's like I said, the people in the Talmud, a lot of them had the power to raise the dead. So they were tremendously holy people. And not only that, the law is not like all of them. So it comes to show us that to internalize what's right sometimes means that it's not what you think what's right. That's the whole idea of the Torah. So the Torah is God's wisdom, God's will. It was given in front of 3 million eyewitnesses. Like, no one has a story like that. And that story has been passed down for 3,300 years. But the whole idea of the Torah is not that it's this mystical, amazing book that nobody understands what it is. You must understand what it is. You're supposed to try to understand as much as possible. That's the idea of Mashiach being a Rav, being a teacher as well. But the Torah and the written Torah, and especially in the words of the prophets, that all of it says that all Maimonides says that the whole entire Torah is filled with this idea of Mashiach. Ubator Shabal Peh, and in the oral Torah, in the Talmud, and in the Talmud, etc., and especially in Sanhedrin, and at the end of Masechet Sota, over there it talks about what Mashiach is and what Mashiach is going to do and what the criteria for Mashiach are. The Maimonides, he distilled this whole thing. You can even look it up if you want to. Look up Rambam, Laws of Kings, chapter 11. Rambam, that's Maimonides. Maimonides, Laws of Kings, chapter 11. The Rambam has distilled all these ideas about what Mashiach is, what the criteria of Mashiach and what Mashiach is going to do. But Gam also, and especially in the inside of the Torah, in the ideas of Chassidut, Hechil, beginning from the book of the Zohar. It says like the Hai Chibur Dalach, the EU Sefer Zohar, in this book of yours, says that Elijah the prophet says to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, he said, in this book of yours, the book of the Zohar, Yafikun Bey will go out with it, min galut, from the exile, barachamim, and mercy. By learning the ideas of the Zohar, as we start to learn and understand how we get a little glimpse of how deep every word of the Torah is and how alive it is. That's why on Lag BaOmer, it's the 33rd day of the Omer, of the 49 days of counting we just talked about. That's the day that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai passed away. It was like 1,800 years ago. And to this very day, you can go up there now. I mean, I hope they do it this year, because the Iran is shooting all these rockets on the north, but it's in the northern part of Israel. There's about 500,000 Jews that go there every year. They come from outside of Israel, because that's the book, the Zohar. That's the one that's going to bring the redemption. Chassidut Chabad explains what's the connection between the secrets of the Zohar and gathering all the Jews together and bringing them to do the Torah and the commandments. Ubafrad, and especially, but Torah to Chassidut, especially in the books of Chassidut, Chabad, She'al Yedei Hafatzat Mayanot Chutza, by means of spreading out these well springs outwards, Atimar will come the Mashiach. But Torah to Rabotenu Nisienu, in the teachings of our rabbis, and especially in the Torah of the Nasi Dorenu of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, who the Rebbe said a lot of times, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, he is the Mashiach, and the Rebbe said about himself, he's just a continuation. Me'en dugmas hachana limud Torah shel Mashiach, learning the Maimorim and the speeches, essentially what we're doing now, that's a preparation for the learning of the Torah of the Mashiach himself. Like it says, Torah Chadasha mi'ite teitze, the Mashiach will bring a new Torah. What does it mean, Torah? Shel Yilmad, that he will teach all of the people the inside secrets of the Torah. Tamya Torah, the secrets of the Torah, the secrets of the commandments. How the commandments connect with the different aspects of God, and etc. Yadat, and people will know godliness. Dat Elokei Avicha, like it says, you should know the God of your fathers. It's the motto of Judaism. Shema Yisrael means to understand, Jews, that God is our God. You have to try to understand God. That's the Rambam, Maimonides says, Sheba'oto Zaman, in that time, Ye Yisrael, that the Jewish people will be chachamim, they'll be great wise men, Yodim Devarim Stumim, and they'll know secret things, hidden things. V'yasigu das boram, they'll understand the mind of God. So that's the idea of Mashiach. The Mashiach is going to come and simply open up our hearts and open up our minds to understand and to do and to speak the way that God wants us to. And especially that the Torah will be tremendously meaningful to us. And the words of the rabbis and the words of the prophets, right? And how the rabbis explain them. Commentaries. The Hosafa, Belimu, the Torah, therefore, so you want to bring Mashiach, add on learning Torah, and especially learning Torah in topics of Mashiach, which that's Malchut of Tiferet. Also learning like we're doing now, Chassidut. This is the Derech Yeshara, this is the straight way to bring about the revelation of Eimatai Ka'atimar, be at Mashiach, bringing the Mashiach and the Gula and the total redemption, really, actually. So what's the Rebbe saying? Learn Torah, especially learn Chassidut, that will facilitate and hasten the arrival of Mashiach right now. And not just the arrival of the Mashiach, I mean, the Rebbe is the Mashiach, but the what he wants to be done will be done in the world, that the Jews will start waking up and that they'll return to true Torah and mitzvahs Judaism. That's the true identity of the Jew. And then when he brings them the holy temple down, it says from heaven, Mikdash Hashem Kol Nidecha, then the Jews will say, "Oh, that's what I want, to do more commandments," and they'll all come to the land of Israel. That's what's going to draw the Jews to Israel. It'll even draw the Israelis back to Israel, which that's even a bigger miracle. Yud Gimel, I'll show Paul about these, says the Rebbe, but I come not just to talk and to say theoretical things, to actually bring to action. But Vadai, certainly, certainly you will be aroused in every place. Kadei Paul, his scholars, in order to bring about the revelation of the Mashiach immediately, that it is an obligation of each and every Jew, Ha'anashim, the men, whether the people that sit and learn Torah, people that their most of the time is making a living, what they call making a living, making money. Bekain and Nashim, also women, also even children. Each one according to his ability, that you have to add on learning Torah, and especially learning Torah in matters of the Mashiach and the Geula. Or simply tell people to come to this class, watch the class. Thank God, a lot of people are watching. There's, some of the classes I see, there's only 700 people watching. How good it will be if the learning will be with a lot of people, at least 10 together. 10 people that sit and they learn the Torah. This is women also. Women should gather together and men together. Learning that when a person sits, 10 people sit and learn the Torah, it says that the Shekhinah, God's presence, is between them. There's also a special quality when they learn about Mashiach and Geula. Anytime you learn Torah, it says that God's presence is there, but especially if you learn Torah on matters of the Mashiach and future redemption in public, with 10 people, let's say, together, this makes a certain type of joy and happiness of the heart, that by means of this, there's a desire and a longing for the coming of the Mashiach, everyone together. And even more simply, to add on and doing commandments in the most, I say, beautiful and they say, the enthusiastic way. Especially especially in the commandment of giving charity, which charity is the most important of all the commandments. It includes all the other commandments. This brings the Geula closer. Just a very interesting thing. One of the big enemies of Chabad and of the world is communism. Communism is a big enemy of the world. It has beautiful promises, maybe the most beautiful promises of any movement or whatever is philosophy or system in the world. Unity and brotherhood and friendship and love and prosperity and health and wealth and everything. Like what they say, this says you're not going to have anything and you're going to be happy. It's a tremendous enemy of mankind. On the other hand, they have good, they say, complaints about capitalism. It's very selfish, and that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and there's class differences and all these things that the Marx and Engels and all these people with what's it called, dialectical materialism or whatever they're called, that the physical world, that makes them, that's determines what man is. If you got money, you're a good person. You haven't got money, you're a bad person. Everything is anyway. So what is the alternative to this? I mean, communism is tremendously popular, and amazingly, it never works. It never worked. Never. There's never a country where it worked. They tried it in Israel also. Never worked. Never. And nevertheless, people still believe in it. People still believe. What is the cure? So it says the Rebbe, the cure is simply charity. That's the cure. There have to be people that are rich, and there have to be people that are poor. That's the way God set up the world. You want to play God and you want to make it equal, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You see, it never does work. There are some people that are meant to be rich, and there's some people that are meant to be poor. That's all. There's people that they're just, but the people that are rich in order to give charity and help the people that are poor. That's why they're rich, not for themselves. That's the big problem, right? That was the big thing of communism. Communism is everybody thinks about everybody else. Oh, everyone thinks about everyone else. The state will determine how to think about others, right? Think about others. In fact, the state, they'll think about others for you. You don't have to think about anybody. Everybody will have the same amount. Everybody, well, that's very evil because the essence of mankind is giving charity. There has to be people that have money and that they're rich, and they should on their own understand that they have to give charity. If they don't, that's a problem. But the solution is to make it that they do, not to force them, to give, but to convince them. That's supposed to be the idea. And then it'll come to the point where everyone will be rich and everyone will be giving to everybody else. Because everyone's always, sometimes just to say hello, good morning to somebody, that's also charity. But the idea is to give out to others. That's supposed to be the idea. And that has to come from within you. And that's what the Rebbe is trying to do, arouse us to be more charitable, right? You have $10, give $1 to somebody who has $9. But to be rich is a wonderful thing, but to give charity is even better. It's proper. The adding this, giving more charity with also learning a Torah and matters of the Moshiach. They said by means of this, there will be by means of this addition. Giving charity will be with the intention to make the redemption come close. That this intention on its own is a part of learning Torah in giving and bringing the Mashiach. Why? Because you're learning b'machshava in thought from time to time. And what it says, Gadlut tzedakah shemakoreves is a gula. Why are you giving charity? Because you think in your mind, you don't have to think each and every time you give it. If you want to, each and every time is also good. A very important thing of giving charity is you have to be friendly. You have to genuinely care about the other person and say, listen, I'm not giving you my money. This is money that God gave to me to give to you. He just entrusted it to me to pass on to you. For whatever reason it is, God does not want to give you directly this money. And therefore he gave it to me, but it's not my money. It's God's money. That's the idea of the geula, of the future redemption. Because essentially we're just living from God's charity. God is giving to us. We don't deserve anything. We're not alive on our own. We're poor. And God is connected to us and he's giving us life all the time. Every human being in the world. How many humans are there in the world? 8 million, billion, 9 billion. And it's all from God's charity. So when you have money, you can't think, well, it's my money. It's not your money. It's God's money. But on the other hand, it says in the Torah that if you have money, it's yours. It's yours. And if you try to steal money from someone else, you did a big crime because you took someone else's money. You say, well, it's not somebody else's. It's God's money. It says, yes, it's God's, but God determined that it belongs to him. Of course, it's God's money. Just like they say about the land of Israel. The land of Israel does not belong to the Jews. It belongs to God. And God decided he wants it to be in the proper possession of the Jews. That's what he decided. But unlike, also the land of Israel is a land of charity. We're here on earth to teach the whole world what God really is, and not like Khomeini says, or whoever this. Yudalid. May it be God's will, Shahachlata, that be having a good resolutions in all this. It will speed up and it will, it'll bring sooner the Mashiach immediately. And the whole purpose of what we're all talking about, and that is revelation of the Mashiach immediately. Mamash, actually, take up a miyad mamash, actually, really. Upapashtas, and simply that on this day, Parshas Isha Ki Tazria, this Shabbat, the Rebbe was speaking on Shabbat. So he's saying right now, the Zotia, this will be towards a Matzorah. In that year that the Rebbe spoke, it was the two chapters were joined together, Tazria and Matzorah, will be the birth and the revelation of the Mashiach Tzidkenu. It says the Mashiach is going to be a leper, it says, because it's on the day that he was purified. That will all merit to hear the announcement in all of the world, in all of the worlds, that Hine, behold, the Mashiach has arrived. Hine, Kavod Kedush is the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Kavod Kedush is Nasi Terenu, the leader of our generation. He has come. Kivin Shekitzu, because they will wake up. and sing all of those who are sleeping in the dirt, in the ground. Tzaddikim coming techila. It says that in the raising of the dead, that tzaddikim will come first. The Rebbe has a speech where he says, how can you say that the previous Rebbe is going to stand up and he's going to be the Mashiach? It says that the order is the Mashiach is going to come, and after that is going to be the raising of the dead. So how can the Mashiach come from the dead first, before, and then redeem the Jewish people? So the Rebbe said, you're right in general, but it says that in the raising of the dead, there are some tzaddikim that are going to raise up first. And one of them, the first one is going to be the Mashiach, and that's going to be the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. That's what the Rebbe said. It's going to previous, and he's going to stand up and he's going to redeem the Jewish people. And that's what he said. After that, the Rebbe said that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, I'm his continuation, which and that was an obvious thing from the very beginning, but the Rebbe never said it. So he's done all the leaders of Chabad, the Mashiach of all the generations. In any case, however it's going to be, the main point is that it is going to be, and it's going to be a human being, and he's going to have the criteria that the Maimonides says over there in that chapter that I told you about, the Laws of Kings, chapter 11. He's going to have that, and the previous Rebbe had all those criteria, and the Rebbe has all those criteria. And by the way, dying does not disqualify a person from being Mashiach. If he's killed by a court or whatever, it says if he's killed in Neharag, if he's killed, that disqualifies him. Killed like Bar Kochava, Bar Kaziva, that he was killed by the court, whatever he was killed by. So therefore, the Rebbe is saying here, he says clearly, the previous Rebbe, he is the Mashiach, and he's going to raise, and he's going to be the Mashiach. However it's going to be, or if you want to say that the Rebbe is the Mashiach, he is the previous Rebbe. In any case, we'll stand. Mashiach for sure is going to come, and Mashiach sure has to have these criteria. So whoever it's going to be, maybe it's somebody else we don't know about. It could be, but here we have someone who does have all the criteria. So whatever you want. But the point is, you have to worry and do everything you can to bring Mashiach, and the Rebbe is telling us how to do it. All of the rabbis will stand up, all of the tzaddikim for all the generations, and the Mashiach, Moses and Aaron, they'll all stand up from the dead. Even though it says in the Talmud that Moses didn't die, it says Yaakov didn't die. There's a whole thing in, what is it, Baba Batra, that Abraham, somebody went down and saw that Abraham was still alive and Yitzchak was still alive. And together with all the Jewish people, will all raise up from the dead. B'noreinu, b'zkenenu, the youth, the elders, our sons, our daughters. And I will gather all of the Jewish people, I will gather them all together. Ashur, from the place of Assyria and Mitzrayim, from the richest places in the world, and the poorest places in the world, from the sea, from the islands in the middle of the seas, Jews will wake up all over the place. 127, where is this? In Isaiah. It says Isaiah, all the Jews are going to wake up from all over the world. They'll come on Anani Shemaya. It says they'll come on clouds of heaven to our holy land, to Jerusalem, the holy city, to the holy mountain, the holy temple, Beis Hamikdash, the Kodesh Kodeshim, to the holy of holies. Like it says in the Parsha Shekorim, like we read immediately in Mincha, Bezot Yavo Aaron ala Kodesh, in the next 2 weeks. And this Aaron is going to come into the holy, in Achrei Mot. It tells the laws starts off with the laws of the high priest going into the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur. And Knesset Kohen Gadol, the going of the high priest in Yom Kippur into the Holy of Holies. What was in the Holy of Holies was the Torah. And what was the Torah? The Torah was a pure revelation of God. That's what God revealed to 3 million witnesses at Mount Sinai. That same revelation was in the Holy of Holies. But all of the Jews are going to be in that level, because God is going to be revealed everywhere. La'atid lavo, in the future, lo rak Aaron, not just Aaron will go into the Holy of Holies, but every single Jew will be in the level of Kohen Gadol, the high priest, Mamlechet Kohanim. It says all the Jewish people are a kingship of priests, high priests, below not just on Yom Kippur, but also every day of the year. But mainly, Shekol said that this will be done actually. Lamata mesar tefachim, below 10 tefachim, and they will be able to show and to bless on the birth of the Mashiach. Everyone will see and feel and understand that the Jewish people are God's people, and that everyone in the world is being created by God from love. And Mashiach is going to orchestrate this whole entire thing by bringing the third temple from heaven and gathering all the Jews there to show that God cares. And now I would like to learn a speech of the Rebbe from Aleph. I don't know how much time we have, but we've got time. We started a little bit late. Here we go. 1 minute. Stop recording. No, I have to go over here. Excuse me. There we go.